Game chat on the mic, Friday night light. Line from the board, Isaac taking flight. Question of the day, what's it gonna be? Guests on the show, come and take a seat. Game chat crew, feel the rhythm flow. Talking board games, all systems go. Pick 5 games, what's your top choice? Hear the people shout, raise up your voice. Interview time, guest in the chair. Sharing stories, feels like we're there. Game chat crew, feel the rhythm flow. Talking board games, all systems go. Game chat crew, feel the rhythm flow. Talking board games, all systems go. Interview time, guest in the chair. Sharing stories, feels like we're there. Game chat crew, feel the rhythm flow. Talking board games, all systems go. Game chat crew, feel the rhythm flow. Talking board games, all systems go. Game chat crew, feel the rhythm flow. Talking board games, all systems go. Pick 5 games, what's your top choice? Hear the people shout, raise up your voice. Interview time, guest in the chair. Sharing stories, feels like we're there. Game chat crew, feel the rhythm flow. Talking board games, all systems go.
What is up, Isaac? How are you, sir?
I am good, and yourself, sir.
I'm doing well. You said I look crystal clear today on camera.
You do. Crystal. I moved my light a little closer this week, too.
Okay, nice. We're trying to become professional after 78 of these.
78, yeah. This is the 78th episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, of course, for a 78th episode, you have a specific special guest.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you think of 78, you think Daryl Andrews.
Daryl Andrews, yeah.
Obviously.
I know, obviously. So,
how did
Daryl,
you guys
what's
know
up?
I was 78 years old?
Oh, man. You're like a day
Gotta
over
keep that on the
77, friend.
Funny. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. So how is the weather up in Canada right now?
It's not good. Let me tell you. It is horrible. For anyone who doesn't know, actually, I just came from Mexico.
Okay.
I just hung out in Mexico, which was lovely.
Yeah.
And I flew home late Saturday night into a blizzard. Literally, our plane had to keep taking loops so that they could plow the runway so that we could land.
Sounds awful.
That's wild.
It was pretty gross. It was pretty like, what? Nah, just turn around. Go back to Mexico.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
back home. Yeah.
Down in the south, in Georgia, we are sitting here like trying not to put on shorts right now. Like all my plants outside are like, so is it spring? Like, what's the deal?
Mm-hmm.
Everything's just.
Well, the answer is always wear shorts. Always wear shorts.
Always wear shorts. It's always the answer. So very cool.
Join us tonight, Daryl.
Yeah. So Daryl, this episode we're going to be talking about sports and board games. We're coming right off the Super Bowl yesterday. It was one of those.
It was a game.
Yeah, it was a game.
It was a blowout.
Yeah. And
yeah,
I think that during the Super Bowl, we always have we'll get into it in a minute.
We'll get into it.
So, so why don't we start with our first question? We always let our guest answer first. But Isaac, what you got for us?
Yeah. So speaking of that, how was your Super Bowl Sunday? What did you do? What do you normally do? Was it the same? I know you're just getting back from vacation.
Yeah, no, I landed just in time. It was scheduled to make sure I was home for the Super Bowl. But in hindsight, I found out there was a ton of Super Bowl parties organized where I was in Cabo. So
really,
note to self, maybe I got to experience the Super Bowl down there. But yeah, I raced back, hung out with my buddy Sean Jacquemin.
Okay,
Which
yeah.
people might know Sean from Kids Table board games.
Yeah.
So we watched the game. I'm probably between the two of us, I cared more because I actually care about Philadelphia. He was indifferent for the two teams, so he decided to cheer with me, which was nice. Because otherwise it would have been awkward. Because it was real quiet for KC for that game. So yeah, it was fun. I was glad to watch it. Cheer for Fly Eagles Fly. Yeah, it was a good game.
Nice.
How about you guys?
We had a little Super Bowl party. The kids grew up. My kids grew up, having Super Bowl parties, so they always invite a friend or two, and we had a good time. I think because of the score, because Philadelphia just took such a giant lead, it was kind of demoralizing. Like at the end of the third quarter, people just started like, okay, well, we ran out of food and we're just going to go home because it just feels like a beating.
It's like, it's awkward. It's over. Totally.
Yeah. I actually wanted the Chiefs. I'm not a Chiefs fan in any way, but I wanted the Chiefs to do the three-peat because I felt like that's something monumental that I don't know is going to happen anytime soon.
Not easy.
That's a really hard one to do. So
2 years from now, maybe for Philly.
So,
Who knows?
Right.
Yeah. Philly they were crazy out there. So
yeah,
they were. I mean, obviously I got the hat. I'm a huge Lions fan. This was a rough season. This was the most like high anticipation I've ever had in this season.
We all had real hope.
Being
real
one,
hope.
Yeah.
And that defense got tore apart. And what we saw last night was defense wins championships. So normally we actually get a big group together, but we're in the middle of a move right now, and so my wife and I and our daughter came over. She just got back from being out in LA, and we just hung out. We just hung out and watched the game.
Yeah, so this might be the last game chat in that house. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, my Calix's. I have boxes. There's so many boxes, so many board games. It's like
I hate
how many. I knew I had a lot.
It's a lot,
right?
Yeah.
But like when you start boxing them, I'm like,
you want to hear something really sad?
So
my last move, we actually needed to get a second truck because of my games.
Oh,
well, the guy came down our basement and he's looking at our house. He's like, I think you're 2 trucks. And he comes down. I showed him the games on the 3 5x5 Calixes, and he goes, maybe we'll just do 3 trucks.
Oh no,
3 trucks for your house. And I was like,
yep.
Okay,
wow.
all right.
Yeah,
wow.
they said if it wasn't for the games, could have got down to 1 truck, but
that's wild.
That's reality. But yeah, so we just hung out. We watched the game, but again, like you said, it wasn't like such a blowout.
Yeah,
it was tough to really enjoy.
Yeah,
it was always fun.
Adele, moving board games is not. So we actually our collection went from like 50 to like 450 in this house. So I don't have any desire to move.
Yeah.
So
no.
Yeah. But
yeah, so we're talking sports, and Ryan and I have a list of some categories, and I was like, oh, we got to see if Daryl's available because I know you love sports.
I love sports.
I know sports is a big part of your life. So before we talk about the teams we love to cheer for, what kind of sports do you enjoy playing? Like you either used to or you currently enjoy?
Well, if anyone's seen my stomach, people know I don't play too many sports now. But I used to be an athlete, and I still really love watching sports, cheering for sports. I go to a lot of Raptors games for basketball, Blue Jays games for baseball. I can't afford a Leafs ticket, but I would love to catch. Hockey games are expensive here in Canada. It's like the only sport that, no matter what, is always sold out. Football, I'm kind of a aimless, disloyal. I'm more a fantasy sports guy when it comes to football. So my loyalty moves around to my fantasy players. And then just in general, all other sports, I'm really, open-minded and intrigued by. I love seeing passion, and I love seeing, especially going with someone that loves the sport and kind of like experiencing it with them. Like my uncle recently took me to a lacrosse game.
Okay.
And I was like, whoa, that was intense. Like, it was a great sporting event. It was
Lacrosse is
super
awesome.
fun. I used to play volleyball back in the day.
Nice.
Yeah, just anything. The two kind of sports connections from my past that are kind of significant are one, I was this tall when I was like 10 and a half. So I just spurted. So everyone thought I was going to be a super athlete. I was 6 foot and I was like 11. So, but I just stopped.
Leading
I
the
just
charge.
stopped. So I dominated sports for a little bit. And then all of a sudden, everyone caught up and started pushing me around. And then the other major one is, and why I'm wearing my gear, is I was technically named as Canada's biggest baseball fan. By Major League
remember
Baseball.
seeing that.
So
Oh, really?
during the
awesome.
World Baseball Classic, they picked fans from around the world. They flew us all to New York.
That's crazy.
And we did like social media and interviews. I got to interview like Cal Ripken and like Tommy Lasorda, and
that's
like,
crazy.
Wild fun thing. So those are my two real sports claim to fame.
Very cool.
I remember that. That's really
I didn't
awesome.
know that.
It's such a cool thing to be able to, in a sport you obviously clearly love quite a bit.
So
I'll say to Chad, there's no way I could wear Braves gear. That would be like, as a Blue Jays, like grew up against
that's funny.
that tomahawk. No way, bro. Can't do it.
You're not doing that.
So Adele brings up a good one. Bowling. I love bowling. Growing up, I played bowling, soccer, and tennis. And then I played those three. And then I enjoy playing football, basketball. I tried street hockey a little bit when I was a teenager. I love all those things. I'm
Channel the Mighty Ducks. You know,
so, so being in a northern family, so my family's from New York, and so I was born on Long Island, and so it's one of those things where like college football wasn't a thing for us. That didn't exist. It was boxing and hockey, and sometimes baseball. But I never, like, this is where me and Daryl are going to disagree. I dislike baseball. Like the 94 strike.
Oh, that was heartbreaking.
It's so hard. I was a kid. And I remember collecting baseball cards and going to Braves games and watching the minor leagues in the town I was in. And when they struck, I was old. I was 13 and I was old enough to know what it was about. And I was like, okay, I'm done. And I started watching. I started watching basketball.
Sure.
And so,
heartbreaker.
So
I understand. We lost a lot of people during that one.
Yeah.
So were you watching Hawks basketball?
No, I was watching the Pistons. So I was a Pistons fan growing up, and we'll talk about like our the ones we cheer for in a little bit. But
we'll talk about that.
So Chad plays in a bocce league. I love bocce ball.
Wow.
Bocce ball is awesome.
Bocce ball is so much fun.
And then Josh with disc golf and pickleball. I'm terrible at disc golf, but I've played. I'm awful at it.
Well, pickleball is tons of fun.
We are getting end of this year, beginning of next year, we're getting a big pickleball facility that's being built right now. So we're going to have a huge pickleball scene.
Wow. I love that that's a thing. I love that pickleball is just growing.
Yeah, we
like two cities over, they have a huge facility. So, Hank with baseball, basketball, football, and hockey. Red Wings, there we go.
Detroit love. Yeah, I played football all through high school. I played I did track. I did the field part of track. I was not a runner. Do not like to run. Honestly, my favorite thing and the thing I still keep up the most is just weight training, weightlifting. Like that's why I loved getting into sports. I loved being in the gym. I loved being in the weight room. But even now, like you said, pickleball we'll play. My wife and I did some what is it? The rock climbing. She loved it. I was horrible at it. But she did great with it. But sports like that, like those lifetime things you can still do, like pickleball, like tennis,
bocce.
Bocce is great, right?
Super
just disc golf. We got multiple disc golf courses here in Toledo, so just cool options all out there.
Awesome.
So, but our next question is what we kind of already hinting at. What are your favorite sports teams that cheer for? Like, your best.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I'm a diehard Blue Jays fan. They had me in those glory years, and I attribute the only reason that I survived that strike was because the Blue Jays had won both World Series just before it. So that was like they
So you were all
hooked
in.
me, and then it got pulled out. And not a lot of people remember this, but the likely World Series was going to be Expos versus Jays in '94. So lots of Canadians can conspiracize
We're all
that's why they decided that year to do it. So real heartbreaker there. And then similarly, Raptors being a newer basketball team, I loved basketball growing up. I played it a lot. And so I jumped around on teams until finally we had our own. And one of the highlights for me as a Raptors fan was actually getting to cheer for the championship at Origins. If anyone was at Origins a few years back, the Raptors winning game was during Origins. And so that just a few years back, I think it was 5 now.
I say that hasn't been that long.
Okay. And so that was a ton of fun because I got to be around with lots of friends, and they had projected it on the screen at Big Bar on 2.
That's cool.
And so that was a real just special moment, really fun. So I mean, those are my big two.
2019.
Okay, nice. That was our second Origins. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So Josh with Guardians. You've got Cavs, Vikings, Columbus Crew.
Oh yeah, Columbus Crew.
When I was a kid, so growing up, I was a Braves fan before the strike. And then when I started watching basketball, I was a huge Pistons fan. And then Red Wings were always a team that I loved. I don't know. I think it was just the red and white, and just like they were one of the more memorable teams during the 90s when I really started watching.
Stevie Y.
Oh yeah.
Canadian pride.
Oh yeah. They were loaded.
They were like a stacked team. So I watched a lot of Red Wings as a teenager, and then when I got into football, it was like later in high school. I didn't I didn't grow up watching football, so it didn't matter to me. But I started liking football in high school, and Jacksonville Jaguars were brand new. They were a new team. Them and Carolina came in at the same time, and I was like, I love Fred Taylor, and so let's start rooting for these guys. And so I've been a Jags fan, which is
tough.
I know
That's a tough journey.
It's been a miserable 30 years. So.
Yeah, seriously. I have family in Jacksonville, and I always would, like, when I was younger, I'd be like, well, maybe I should be a Jags fan. And then
it's hard. No, it's so heartbreaking because you have all this, like, you have this hope the first 5 games of the season.
Sure.
And they trash it every year. And it's like
there's always hope at the start. There's always hope.
Who's the hockey team for you?
Oh, I'm Leafs. I am Leafs. Yeah. It's funny, growing up, all the kids growing up were huge Gretzky fans, obviously. I mean, he's the great one. I respect it. Absolutely. I'm usually like the arguer, so I quickly picked, like, for basketball, it's all Jordan growing up. I was a Magic fan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it was like, for me, actually, Super Mario was my guy. Mario Lemieux was my number one.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a chance, not a lot of people probably remember this, but the Penguins almost got purchased and brought to Canada by Balsillie, who was part of RIM, or Research in Motion, the BlackBerry phone. And I remember saying, if he brings them, I'm switching. And my family was very upright about, like, you do know you're out of the family, but that's still okay, because at least they would be nearby. So I almost got to switch to Penguins, but no.
That's really funny.
Not quite.
So
Duval.
No. So Liam Cohen,
Duval.
everybody. Duval.
That's awful. I don't know what's going on in Jacksonville.
I don't know, man.
I'd rather have a guy threatening to bite kneecaps. So I've been we're super close to Michigan. We're in Northwest Ohio, and in fact, we're moving into Michigan in a couple weeks. We'll be Michiganders. But like, I've always been a Detroit sports fan. Lions and Pistons first, followed by Red Wings and Tigers. But I mean, I've watched 2 Piston dynasties in my lifetime. Right, I grew up in grade school and junior high with the Bad.
Amazing.
Like we had a friend. I was telling a patient the story today. We had a friend who was an NBA ref, and his son worked for my dad, and we went to playoff games and went on the court after. I have a pair of, they're sitting over there in a box, Isaiah Thomas game worn shorts from 1986 playoffs. They signed to my dad, to Frankie, stay cool.
Wow.
Right. And the frame's only this big because there's those baby shorts they used to wear.
That's fun.
And he asked me, he said, Isaac, who's your favorite player? I want to bring him out. I'm 10 years old. And the most electric player on the Detroit Pistons is the guy who's every time he's scoring, he's running up and down the court, pumping his fingers. That was rookie from Louisiana Tech, Dennis Rodman. And I said, I would love to meet Dennis Rodman. And he brings giant Dennis Rodman out to me. I'm
wild.
10. I will never forget this big sweaty dude in a suit and tie telling my parents, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, polite Southern man. And he signed my T-shirt that I had. And my dad recently got me a old Pistons Rodman jersey autograph, just because for me that's a big piece of
that's awesome.
That's incredible.
You know, Lions, like, I mean, Lions. This is the dream, right? This has been the dream for 40 plus years. That
y'all had Barry.
We would have what we have.
You had Barry though, man. Those have been some.
We had Barry. We had Calvin.
Yeah.
And you know, now it finally feels like, okay, they could compete. They could do it. They're a legit team. So with no one screaming Duval.
Well, I don't know that that's screaming more than it's creepily looking at the camera and whispering
Duval. So,
yeah.
He hasn't forgiven.
Yeah. So still the Thrashers. I actually don't forgive Canada for that.
Wow.
I don't have a lot of things against Canada, but
wow. I mean, we gave you like the whole sport.
Yeah.
I mean, the Avalanche. That was a sweet gift.
True.
Yeah. But Atlanta. So we actually had a really, really great minor league hockey team in Columbus, Georgia, where I'm at, and the Cottonmouths were a team for years and years and years. Like I think two and a half decades. We had hockey here in Columbus. It was good. And now we have the River Dragons now, which is fine. It's just, I don't know, that this is weird. We're a soccer town because for some reason soccer got gigantic in the late 90s here.
Yep.
And it never
all the kids
really
were playing.
died down. And but hockey got big and it ebbs and flows and goes back and forth. It's really odd.
Interesting.
So
yeah. I mean, I'm so spoiled with hockey around here. I mean, you could throw a baseball in any direction and hit an arena. With OHL, I grew up going to London Knights games, so like so many quality NHLers that we just see them around. I went to high school with Joe Thornton. It's like it just was awesome. So normal for us. It was just like, oh yeah, of course. But
it's just your world. Yeah. Hockey's pretty big here. Again, we're close to Detroit. Like actually the coolest experience I had was I got to meet oh gosh, you just slipped my mind. The Red Wings legend.
There's so many.
Gordie Howe. Okay. So Gordie Howe's family lived here in the town I'm in, and when he retired, he literally would go hang out at the hockey rink that's across the street from where I live, and he was just there for hours and hours, just talking to kids, giving them tips, and no one was like, "Oh my gosh, Gordie Howe." It was just like, "Oh, there's this nice guy who everybody knew who he was, and they just loved to talk to him." And I'll never forget, I met him one time, and he's like, "Your son play hockey?" I'm like, "My son's 2." And he's like, "Doesn't matter. This is how you teach him how to hold a stick." And he was like, he just had this.
So what? He's 2. Right?
So. Yeah, he's like, give him a puck.
I love that somebody in the comments lives in our state so that they control our city. Chad says, "Can't get enough of the new. Wait for it. Clingstones. We have. Well, it's a type of peach." So we have the Columbus Clingstones, which is a feeder team for the Braves. It is.
Is that like a
it's like minor A?
It directly goes up to the Braves, but it's
really
like the name. It's just like
that's a deep cut. That's a deep cut.
Yeah, it's a type of.
Oh, this is.
Oh yeah. Do you want to throw some of those visuals on the screen there?
It's a double A.
Double A. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's high up. Yeah. I'm surprised I have never heard of them.
They're brand new. This is their inaugural season. We got them from Mississippi, I believe.
Ooh, look at
that's
those
the Columbus
guys.
Clingstones.
I kind of like it.
That color, that peach and green.
The little peach dude is kind of
Yeah.
cool until
Yeah.
you see him on different things. Like
Sure.
he kind of morphs. It's
Right.
yeah.
Fuzzy.
That,
Yeah.
okay, that's what I
Fuzzy.
don't like.
Fuzzy.
Did
Yeah.
you just see that?
Fuzzy.
His name's Fuzzy.
The one where he has the full body?
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, and the
No.
cleft chin. Oof.
It's rough.
Yeah, it's something. Well, we are also talking about
Oh
board
yeah,
games
board
today.
games.
So it's a transition
There we
into
go.
some sports and board game specific talk. What sport needs a good board game? What are we missing? What doesn't have a good board game? What
I
sport?
mean, well, I think everything. I think I honestly like. I know we're going to talk about some of our favorites, but there is so much
Yeah.
opportunity, and
Yeah.
I have been told for 10 plus years that nobody wants sports games, but I just don't think it's true.
I
I
don't
think
think
there's
it's
lots
true.
of people that would be interested, and I think it's a little bit of the danger of people sometimes just don't want to do what's risky or different, and so you often get what's safe. And hey, it's not my money, so I get like when you're gambling, if you can take a safer bet. But I think in a world of 10,000 animal themed anthropomorphic game,
Trick
Yeah,
takers.
just try a few sports themes. I mean,
yeah.
if it makes sense, like it doesn't even have to be. It can be small. It can be just capturing a relationship or a moment from a sporting game, and I think people will connect with the feeling. And so
Yeah.
I think every sport is ripe. I think the only one that I think is oversaturated is racing.
Yeah.
We don't need more
Yeah.
racing.
Yeah, looking behind your shoulder.
Hence the 3 cells full of racing games.
Yeah. Racing is we got it.
Yeah.
But everything else, I think, fair game. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think football. I've not played or seen a game card or anything that does American football on any level that's decent. And I think it's funny because I actually got there's some kind of NFL, it looks like a Hasbro or something, Milton Bradley, something out there that's like mainstream. I got an ad for it today. And I was just like, I was interested. I was like, I don't know. It had multi-use cards that have different, almost like amounts of, like runs and passes, and it was like categorized a certain way on each card. And I couldn't really tell from the ad whether it would be anything worth looking into. But I would really like a good football game. I mean, you have Blood Bowl, which I've never played it, but it's probably the only one that I'll try.
Right.
So because that looks kind of fun, I just don't want to spend the money,
Right.
It's kind of cost prohibitive, so
Totally.
Yeah, Blood Bowl is fun. I've played that a few times. I had football on the list too, but like the only game I play is really bad. Yeah, I honestly I was thinking about basketball, and I was thinking about like a dexterity. When I think basketball, I think about like going into the arcade and like hit the thing and the ball, right? And I think about a game we're going to talk about on your list for sure, of soccer and how well they've done the dexterity of that, and like could we do that from a basketball end that has like the excitement of the shot, or even a block into a shot or something like that? Like that's kind of the first thing I thought.
There were 2 games this past year that was I saw them at Target, and one of them was like a pickleball game that was going back and forth. It was almost like Louis team style.
I remember Grant doing
and
something
then there
on
was
that.
another one that was a basketball type one where
Basketball?
I think so.
Yeah.
Was that any good?
Basketball is fun. It is like very toyetic, less like strategic.
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool. Like the mechanics of its grabbing and throwing and such is.
Yeah.
I definitely recommend people should check it
Works
out.
well.
Okay.
Foosball.
Foosball. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So those are the only two that I know of that like basketball and like that I had. So we actually did on our Will It Game podcast years ago. There was the theme of sports, and I think I did a tennis card game that I kind of liked that you could play doubles with a person. I've got to go back to like listen to that episode, but I pitched a game that was about tennis, and it was like you were basically it felt a little bit like a trick taking game. You were going back and forth, and then you could play team where you were playing doubles. And so I don't know, like I feel like there's so many opportunities that could be had, even if it's a card game that has a certain theme. I don't know. So,
Just some feel to it. Have you done Will It Game with these guys, Daryl?
No. So
do you know what that is? Yeah, explain to them.
We started a podcast years ago. It was an offshoot. We were doing it as part of our proper podcast. It was just a segment that we were doing where we'd pitch like these board games that didn't exist. Well, so we spun it off into a separate podcast called Will It Game, and we basically have designers, publishers. We've had everybody from like Jamie Stegmaier, and we've had Steve Jackson. We've had people from all different areas of.
You've hit a lot of people.
We've hit a lot of people. And
well, have me on sometime. That sounds fun.
We need to do that. We haven't started re-recording those episodes, but we pitch 2 board games. You basically give us a theme, and me and my co-host Rick, we give you a board game that we made up in like 10 minutes. And like some of them are actually legit. Like they feel good. And then some of them, they're like, what?
Some of them are so
That's
bad.
terrible. I'd never touch that. So
Amazing.
Well, I found that podcast during the pandemic, and I listened to the whole thing like just all at once, and I was like, oh my gosh, some of these games are so bad, so bad.
Oh yeah,
but it's fun. The back
Chad's been on the show, so
and he lived, and he lived to tell the tale.
I have,
yeah. So
catalog business with toilet paper and vacuums.
Actually, an interesting thing about podcasts, that's Chad's connection to Reiner is through our podcast.
Nice.
And I only found this after Chad was republishing one of Reiner's games.
Right.
Reiner came on our podcast and he said that he would love to work with publishers of any size. And because Chad listened to the podcast, he reached out to Reiner. And that's how. Yeah,
Chad's not going to admit to listening to the podcast.
He did back in the day when he was younger. He did.
Right.
He did.
Oh, got it. Our last one before we get into a little bit about Daryl. What board game would make the best professional sport? We have World Series of board gaming. We have competitive CCGs. But like, is there a game that could roll into an e-sport, could roll into an e-board game sport? Do you think would be like really good to be competitive with, and you could see being like a professional?
Wow. Yeah, this is a tough question. I think there's a lot of cool potential. I think actually the one I want to see is how I answered this, because in general, I was thinking I want to see dexterity games become
for sure
professional sports. And I was thinking it'd be really hilarious to see ice cool, but like human size. So you'd have to like stand on the thing and you'd get launched and like bounce off things. I think that would be the coolest.
That's a game show right there.
Yeah.
I think that would be hilarious. But anything
watch that
giant
show all day.
Dexterity. Any of our dexterity games turned into like human size.
That's funny.
I would watch.
I don't know that I have an answer for this one. I do like you, Isaac, you talked about this a while back, like dexterity Olympics, basically these
dexterity decathlon.
And so I've actually got a friend that he doesn't like board games at all, but he loves dexterity games.
Yeah.
And so for his 40th birthday, he set up 25 different activities, everything from jumping on a pogo stick to making an ace with a disc in disc golf, to walking on stilts, to beating him at Bino. And so it was like the whole party was us trying to beat his score, at these dexterity things. I think I'd like to see a good dexterity game like converted to a big stage,
Right.
whether that's Bingo or like I even like, Drop It. It's a game
Sure,
that every time I
sure.
put Drop It on the table, I'm like, I love this
Yeah,
game.
if you saw a giant like Plinko-sized version
Yeah,
of Drop
yeah,
It, where you're
yeah.
like really like choosing where you
Oh
drop
yeah,
it,
yeah.
oh,
I would love to see that.
that would be amazing.
Yeah.
What a great.
Yep.
That's amazing. I went with the only game I played, board game I played competitively that wasn't a CCG, and that was the Strike tournament a couple of
Strike would
years
be
ago at
fun.
Gen Con.
Nice.
And that was a blast. Like, what a cool event. And actually managed to win that one. And it's just like, it was so intense. Like, as we were trash talking this guy, I didn't even know. We're going back and forth. He had me up on dice. I was low. And the crowds were going crazy as because we were hamming it up real good. I ripped my shirt off at one point while we were playing it. It was
that
it
reminds
was wild.
me.
But
Smack Talk is so key. I think one of the funniest
Yeah.
games that I could see being televised, and again, maybe this is because of like kind of Strike is like this, but Push Your Luck in general. But Can't Stop. I did a Can't Stop tournament with like 100 people, and it was high stakes, and that was hilarious. I also did a what's the game where it's going Loopin' Louie high stakes for like 100
Loopin'
people.
Louie, yeah.
And so
Amazing.
any game like that where you're just like really into it, but it's ridiculous, I think it's good times.
That's the best way to do it.
So Daryl, let's talk about you for a few minutes. Let's so Chad recapping.
That's true, Chad.
Took his shirt off.
I was actually banned. I was
back
banned from the
to
event.
defend his title.
Yeah, banned from the event.
Hey, what a way to go out.
Yeah, I know.
What
Yeah,
a way.
I hope they like the legend grows, right? Like
Yeah,
people just talk about it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Adele.
Like I heard he
took off
like
his
ripped
shoes.
like 5 people's clothes off.
There's a whole row of people. Sure. Adele, Strike is so easy to get to the table. It is so good. Like people just crowd around that one. So so Daryl, tell us a little about your kind of what your place in the industry. You're a game designer. You have a lot of hats on in the board game industry. Literally and figuratively, because you always wear a hat.
Yeah.
But tell us a little about your space in the hobby.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, predominantly, I'm a freelance board game designer.
Mm-hmm.
And so what that means for anyone who doesn't know, there's not a lot of us. A lot of the times people are able to kind of game design while having a real job. And then on the side, with the few hours you have left in your day, you try to also work on that game. And that was me, a number of years back. And then I slowly transitioned from it being, game design being a hobby to kind of being a jobby. It was like halfway.
Mm-hmm.
And until about 10 years ago, I finally was able to kind of go for it. I don't have any kids, so that makes it a little more practical. My wife has a good job and incredibly patient. And so she said, yeah, go for it. Let's see if you can try to make it work. The life of a freelance game designer is roller coasters all the time, feast and famine. And so because of that, it's over the years, I've kind of, like you said, worn a lot of different hats, found different ways to make it work. I even tried to be a publisher once. I learned pretty quickly that I don't want to be a publisher. So I had a game company called Maple Games, and we put out a few games, and that was a lot of fun, but a learning experience. I've done a lot of like development work for game companies, and I've done inventor relations for a few companies. I do that right now as a consultant for a company called Maestro Media, where part-time I scout for games for them. And I work with a lot of different people. I love collaboration. So I love working with different co-designers. I love working with different publishers. I learn so much from the different people I work with. Even Chad in the chat puts up with me, and I have a couple games coming out with Chad that I'm really excited about over the next year or two. Awesome. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm also just always kind of on the lookout for like the next like fit, where that's I can help kind of in a small way add value and help a company, make great games and realize their potential. So I also just really love connecting with designers. So that's why especially in vendor relations, has been a real passion of mine because I love trying to help, discover and give opportunities to people and connect good people together. And so it's weird to say, but it gives me even more joy seeing someone else's game come out than my own, because you just feel like you helped bring some awesome people together, and when they tell you like that was a dream of theirs that came true and you got to be a part of making that possible, it's pretty special. So
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's me.
I think my first game that I played that you designed was Sagrada, and I played Caffeine Rush. A little while later, I got that for my wife as a gift because of her caffeine addiction.
Nice.
But the design, I've played that and Bosk, and you have so many different designs that you've worked on that people would know. And I think what's interesting is that you haven't just stuck with one publisher, which is also interesting because you kind of get you get to hop around and do different things in the industry, which is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? Like, I know some designers, they make all the games for the same company, and that's awesome for them. But I honestly, I wouldn't trade it for the world, because the amount of just awesome people in our industry that I get to work with and meet, it's shocking how, like, I've been in some industries where there's not a lot of good eggs, and yet in games it seems to really gravitate and pull some pretty amazing people and passionate people and caring. And so we have like a really special community. And so I love working with different people and learning from them. But I do take some pride in whenever I can do like a second game with a company that gives me a moment of like, hey, they don't mind me. They'll work with me again. So
there you go. Yeah,
they really
me.
That's cool.
When and I enjoy watching. I know we all do, being able to see you win things. Like, you've won Game Designer of the Year, right? You've had some awesome awards come your way, right? On a variety of ways. So it's just cool to see your success, even in the toy industry, right? And so just to be like, hey, that's one of my friends. Like, he does amazing. I love seeing that, and it's fun to watch your journey. It's fun to watch everybody's journey that is saying, like, taking that big leap, like you, Danielle, right? Watching her and her journey too has been a blast. Like, and so it's a fun thing to watch.
One of us, so it's fun to like cheer each other on and see how we're kind of breaking out. And honestly, I think people think we're like at our golden years, but I think this is just the beginning. I think people are still discovering games, and when we look in 10 years from now, like, we'll look back and go like, oh, we were like this little community, and then the world started to keep finding games and falling in love with opportunities. So
yeah, I love that.
Shout out to my uncle. My uncle called me this weekend, and it was so fun to hear the excitement in his voice. So my uncle lives in New York, so he is the most New York that New York gets.
Nice.
And so my uncle calls me super excited on Saturday, and he says, Ryan, I just saw this news report, and he's telling me about paper football. They have a paper football championship just before the Super Bowl every year, and it's like their 12th annual paper football championship. He's telling me all about it, and he's like, it looks just like the Bino coverage that you're doing all the time. And he's like, he's never played Bino. He's like, he talks about it. He loves watching our coverage. He sees me flick a ball and he likes it immediately on Instagram. And like, I just love that my uncle, who I don't know that I've ever played a board game with him ever.
Right.
And anytime he sees anything that's a dexterity game or something like that, he called me. And I was just like, it was such a cool weekend to hear from him, because immediately, this is how our family is, extended family. It's like, okay, nobody's dead, but let me tell you this. So that's exactly how
what a great word spread kind of thing, that love and enthusiasm.
So everybody's still alive. We're good. So let me tell you about this news report. So
awesome. Well, what's our top 5 today?
Your voice tells me something.
No, what's the category? Okay. I'm working on it.
Okay.
Hold on.
So every week we put together a list of 5 games that are our pick 5. It's basically the Game Chat presents pick 5. These are not the top 5, the greatest 5, or the best 5 games in this category, but today's pick 5 is 5 sports games. And so we're going to be talking about sports games, and Isaac, of course, has a graphic. So let's put the graphic. Holy crap! It hasn't
Look at this mess.
changed a lot since the last one.
No, this is a different one because it had so much stuff on it. So I got rid of all the stuff on it. I put the turkey back on.
The turkey's good.
And I put my favorite game in the top corner.
Where are you? Oh, Unmatched. Yes, you love it.
Have you ever played it?
You love Unmatched so much.
I do. Have you played it?
I've played it. Daryl, have you played it?
I have played Unmatched. I will make a confession though. I'm not a big 2-player fan.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I like Unmatched, but it still triggers the 2-player game moment.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I will play, and I want to play good 2-player games. Then Unmatched is on that list. But if I can convince one more person to play so that we can be at least 3, I will always go for that. That's my.
I've been enjoying 2-player head-to-head battles a little more lately, just because Aaron and I usually will sit down at night and we'll play a 2-player game, which really
the trend is huge. I mean, look at like all dual games and such, and to be honest, I'm constantly being asked to make 2-player only games, so my brain's been thinking maybe too much about it. But
where's that Sagrada duel?
May or may not have had a meeting about that even today.
Okay, I'm just throwing things out there. But if you want to drop any like nuggets of information where this show would blow up,
I'll play everything Sagrada you make.
I appreciate that. Well, we're in some final talks, so
okay.
So hopefully, Adrian and I have been
first.
We didn't want to just like make it too obvious and too basic. We wanted to like come up with something that was it felt familiar, but also brought something new to the table. And
interesting.
So we feel happy with where we're at now. So so we've been having some meetings about it.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well,
so if anyone's at Gamma, I'll be playtesting. If anybody wants to playtest it, that's my life right now.
Another reason I'm sad I'm missing Gamma.
So Daryl, we start with you. You're going to give us your number 5. Again, this is in no specific order, not best to worst, whatever. 5 board games about sports that you would recommend.
Okay, I picked 5. I will clarify because obviously I like making rules as a board game designer.
Oh yeah.
So I added a few extra rules to myself as a challenge. I added that I couldn't repeat the same sport.
Okay.
So that was a factor.
I didn't repeat.
And I don't expect y'all to follow my own rules that I made up in my head. And I tried to pick games that I didn't think y'all would pick.
Okay.
So I may fail.
Trying to get outside.
I may fail miserably, but we'll see.
Let's see where we end up.
So you said start with number 5?
Start with number 5.
In no particular order. I picked this because I felt like I should represent Canadians.
Okay.
And it was a tough category, and to be honest, there's probably other ones.
Curling game? Please tell me there's a curling
game. Indoor curling.
There it is. Indoor curling.
I will confess there are other dexterity games that I assume y'all will mention that are better than this. But I have a sneaky suspicion the chat's with me on what will come up. But I had to pick this as a good Canadian. And it plays up to 8, which is just hilarious.
Yeah.
It has this little...
It's pretty nice.
Ball, anyone that can see this, it's a ball bearing inside.
That's funny. I bought that. I bought that for my brother and my dad.
It's actually
years
fun.
ago. Yes, it is.
It's kind of ridiculous, but I love it.
Yes.
So,
and it lays out flat. Yeah. Okay. I have played that, shockingly. So Adele's got her 5. Flamme Rouge, Knizia's Decathlon, Monza 20th Anniversary Edition. I don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Bowling Solitaire and Volonimo. Volonimo is a good one.
I forgot about Volonimo.
I like Volonimo a lot.
Shoot, I should have said that one.
Okay, so
Which is a
let's
nice
go with
suck-up move.
What do you got, Ray?
Long Shot, the dice game.
Yeah.
I've played this a lot, and it's one of my favorite things to teach. It only takes about 30 minutes. There we go.
It's not on my list, but it was on my
Okay.
table.
It's on your
my
table. I love Long Shot, the dice game. This is such a fun one, and it's a roll and write that people can easily understand. You've got the horses running around in the center of the table. I love it. It's my box. The box is so messed up. I've got tape everywhere. Tape there. This one's split again. It's
that's not
it's
great.
gotten a lot of love.
Have you ever played the OG?
Yes, I played that with Bob,
the little one.
Bob Kroll. So we've played the original. Yes. Yep.
Yeah, I like the original too.
I have all of my stuff packed up, so I will
Okay.
not be showing you games. But my first one is I thought about this as soon as Daryl said taking a piece of a sports moment as opposed to the entire sport, and that's bottom of the ninth. Taking the best part of that little end piece of baseball. Okay. Yeah. I don't love, I mean, I'm kind of with Ray. Baseball's not my favorite sport, but man, oh yeah, I got the full clubhouse. I got the Derek Funkhauser promo.
Funny.
Like it's a fun put, like, what are you gonna do? What am I gonna do? What are you gonna do? And I love that aspect. That's cool.
We've got another list, Hank, with Status Pro Baseball, Status Pro Basketball, Lords of Baseball, Formula D, and Bino. Man, I love some Formula D. We had a Formula D racing league at work that ran 10 weeks, and we awarded a winner at the end of 10 weeks. We would meet during lunch. We would slice it down to 1 hour. We would just race as fast as we could, and it was like one of the best things at work. So yeah,
real-time racing.
Daryl, what's number 4?
Well, talking about race games, I'll jump to my race game. I'll say honorable mention is quite long and included Long Shot. And Formula
I don't
D
think
was
horse
on
racing's a sport.
What?
Oh, Andrew,
no.
I gotta disagree.
No, Andrew.
That's
no.
Well, do y'all ever remember the famous moment? Well, probably not. I'm a Canadian, so this is a very Canadian moment. But there was an award for best Canadian athlete, and the winner, instead of it being Walker from baseball, it was Frank Villeneuve. And the famous quote was, he said, "I didn't know a motor could be the best athlete." And so this is another one of those moments of is it a driver an athlete? I say yes.
Interesting. Yeah.
I'm all in with that.
There's skills. Like
the horse is an athlete.
Yeah. Well, and the animals doing
100%.
well. But yeah, so my pick to avoid any Heat Flamme Rouge debates or anything like that is actually, I'm going to say Thunder Alley.
Okay.
I don't know if you have ever played Thunder Alley. It's a little on the heavier side. So I understand some people that aren't fans of it and might like a lighter game. There's lots of better lighter games, but for me, Thunder Alley is the best kind of complex racing game that I've played. And shout out, actually, Carla, one of the co-designers, just passed. So
really?
Just want to give some love to the Hoarder family during a tough time. So
gotcha. Yeah, Thunder Alley. I know of it. I've never played it though. So
yeah, Jeff and Carla were incredible designers. I had the pleasure of them being developers for one of my games, so I got to see their genius.
That's awesome.
The game never came out, but they were really awesome to work with.
That's awesome. So my number 4 is going to be Wonder Bowling. This one comes to us from Tokyo. This was Joe Chambers. Thank you, Joe, for picking this up for me when you went to Tokyo Games Market. So this is an interesting one. It's just a box, and you put bowling pins on top. You put bowling pins, little like wooden bowling pins on top of the box, and all you do is you tap the box and bowling pins fall down, and you're trying to not all of them. You want to strategically have some fall down, but not others. It is a really cool little activity to play. I actually like it a lot. I don't know if it's getting a US release, but I'm very thankful to have it in my collection.
I think it's a dessert game. You know, the
It
end of the
is.
night,
Yeah.
we'll
You're just hanging
as
out.
people are leaving, or it's almost time to be done.
Yep.
You're always gonna have a fun time.
Yeah. Figured there's not a lot of bowling board games, but
Bowling did
there is
not make
one.
my list.
So,
Opportunity though.
yeah.
Chad just said one of the ones I'm gonna go with here for my
What do we
second
have
one.
here?
It is a racing themed
Yeah.
game, but it is a dog
There we
racing
go.
themed game, and that's Snowtails. So
Snowtails.
Snowtails, you get out there, do your dog
Snowtails.
sled,
Yep.
icy track racing, watching the
Yeah.
curves, bending the
Yeah.
dips, like just a fun
That's one I've
older
never
game.
played.
It's funny what feels old
Yeah.
anymore, right? That was 2008. That's like almost
That's
20
old.
years
Yeah.
old.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. As I remember getting into the hobby around the time.
And it had a few versions too. I remember
Yes.
like one version was better in one way and another, and that was a whole thing for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a fun, cute theme, and one I'd love to see
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Love to see
A
out
Ready,
there again.
Set,
Great
Bet
game.
in that list. Ready, Set, Bet's
Ready,
great.
Set, Bet's great also.
Yep.
Number 3.
All right. Well, so now that I've run out of racing games, it's really thin the pile for myself. I'm going real old school. So we are talking over 20 years old.
Okay.
It's track and field themed, and that is Magical Athlete.
Magical Athlete. I've never heard of that.
So you may want to pull this up just to see the beauty.
Yep, I'm on it.
Of, I believe it was Z-Man.
Okay.
It's a card game. I think the art will just speak for itself of just how gorgeous, and I'm being very sarcastic,
Yeah.
this game is. It's a real hard game to track down, obviously being 20 years old. It is so swingy and so extreme that it has these just highlights. There it is. Oh, man.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's a treat. And those are not in the game. Someone has gone out of their way to make it even more beautiful. But yeah, if you a lot of people are making homemade stuff.
Oh my goodness!
Here we go.
But
here,
that
here
shows
we go.
you like how much people like. It's a cult classic.
Okay.
And so it's a very swingy card game. I would the closest comparison I'd say is like a Fantasy Realms kind of how like if you combo the right moments and whatnot, you have some really wild, great times.
That's interesting. Okay, I've never heard of that one.
Yeah.
So. Nice.
I'm guessing that's a hard.
Yeah, but if you track it down, get it. If you see it, buy it.
Okay. All right, we've got baseball highlights, Magic number 11 Downforce, Ready, Set, Bet, and Lure. Since you mentioned Lure, let's go with fishing. This one is
fishing game,
Coldwater Crown, Bellwether Games. This is an underrated game where players are fishing in, I think, 4 different lake areas.
Yep.
And so it is really cool. It has an expansion for deep sea fishing, saltwater fishing. And this is Brian Scher did this one, and it is a really good design. I love this game. I hate fishing as a sport or as an activity, but I actually love this game. So it is very well made and well underwritten.
Have you ever played the fly fishing?
I love the fly fishing. Freshwater fly.
Freshwater fly is another great one in the series.
It has, so Coldwater Crown has a mechanic that I really enjoy. You're putting something out and taking something back. It's the same that Forges of Ravenshire has.
Yeah.
You're putting something out, getting that benefit, pulling something back, and it works really, really well.
Yeah.
So
really satisfying.
My next one is actually back, and we've made mention of this before. When we started as a channel over Game of Sidekicks, we had one relationship, and that was with WizKids, and they were publishing 600 games a year, and they sent them all to us. And I played some good games, and I played some not so great games. My favorite is telling the Eisner Brothers. I played their first game. Dungeon Shuffle that I still have, and they're like, no one played that. I'm like, I've got it. And that's where Palm Trees comes from, which is still a game that Chad really needs to publish because everybody needs to play Palm Trees. But one of their early gems that I think got kind of buried under stuff was a professional wrestling game with animals, and that was Kung Fu Zoo.
Nice.
And Kung Fu Zoo, I got a picture of it here if you've never seen it. It's a real simple little dexterity game, but the board is the wrestling.
Oh, nice.
And so the dice the animals, they've got like feet on the bottom, a head down
Yeah.
front, and you flick them from the edge to try and knock the other animals up so their feet are straight up so they're knocked out, or knock them into the corners. And so each animal has different powers based on what how you can hit them and where you
Dang,
can flick them.
that looks cool.
It's such a fun game. They actually redid it with WWE. They made a like actually wrestling one. Not as much fun. The animal one was perfect.
That's cool. I don't know what strolling bowling is.
No,
Chad,
never heard of it.
I don't know what that is.
I do know another bowling game though. My buddy made a game that was Ninja Star Bowling, and so you literally threw them onto the table.
Interesting.
That was a fun one.
Oh, I've seen strolling bowling. Oh, it's the little here. It's a little walkie guy where you spin him and he walks down the.
Oh, that's strolling bowling. Okay.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've never played it. I mean, but I remember
Bob
Bob
woke up from his bird coma.
his eagles
coma. I was at a work dinner tonight. Didn't get to watch it. At least I finally have a good person on the stream. So, and now Josh.
We can usually get his Bob.
So.
Go Birds.
Luchador was a fun wrestling themed game. Okay.
I had a luchador. A lot of these I've tried to design games and then pitch them and got rejected so many times and moved on. But luchador, I think there's some games out there and more to be made. I think luchador is just great.
Yeah. So what's your number 2, Daryl?
My number 2, actually, I had to bite my lip because you were saying there's no good football games, and I gotta give a shout out for this game. And I heard a rumor, so maybe I'm wrong, that it's coming back, but that's First and Goal by R&R Games.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever played it, either of you.
I've never played it. R&R
I think it's the best football game that I've experienced. There's asymmetricalness, lots of dice. Shocker. I like a dice game.
Yeah.
But I think it's a really great experience. I don't want to give away too much of the game other than just check it out. It looks a little mathy, but it's not. It's a lot of just like the sum value or the differentials. And so your teams, like, you kind of like just are like, depending on your plays, paying attention to certain dice and not. And so can you call the right defense against the right offense, and that'll cancel certain colored dice. And
see, and I think I could get down with that. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. R&R, they're some of the stuff that they put out, like some of the worst graphic design out there.
Yeah.
It's some of the ugliest art. And then you play the game and you're like, that's good.
Yeah.
You know? It's good,
Absolutely. So. Absolutely.
Basketball. This is an underrated game. This one is from Eagle Griffin Games. Crunch Time. This is basketball highlights. Cool. This is a great game. Yeah. You're playing cards. You're basically playing cards. The offense gets to move 2 of the players on the board. It's half court basketball. The defender gets to move 1 of their players in a limited distance, and you're playing cards to get off shots. This is a really, really good game. Head to head, 2 players playing, controlling a team of 5 in half-court basketball. Crunch Time, I wish more people knew about it. We've got a full playthrough on our YouTube channel, so if you want to check it out, it's like 20, 25 minutes. But I love this game. I introduced it to a friend of mine during Christmas. He was like, I've never heard of this.
Yeah, so, I've never played it. I want to try it now.
It's really good. So
you see Chad's
what do we have here? Danny and I are working on a baseball themed game. Okay. I know this one.
Too. Great name too.
Okay, I played this one during.
That's a great name.
I played different versions of this during the pandemic. I am very excited about this.
I had a card collecting game with sleeves.
Okay.
And I pitched it to Panini, and we got to final stages, and then they lost all the rights to sports cards. Like while we were in like final stages with them,
they dipped out all that.
Yeah, it was a heartbreaker. We had like you'd slide on like signatures, or you'd slide on like full.
To increase value.
Okay, interesting.
RPAM. Yeah,
Basketball. So I've seen that from All Play. I've not played it.
Basketball.
Yeah.
So
I have not either. We're at number 4. Professional surfing, and I was just talking to Andrew from Over the Op last week about this game getting kind of like blown over the top of because so many other great things came out a couple of years ago, and that was the Perfect
okay,
Wave.
yeah, yep.
Perfect Wave was a nice, easy. It was beautiful design. Make the wave, but they've had some really, really good games over there that literally eclipsed this one.
Yep.
And we played it, we loved it, we reviewed it, and frankly, it's on my shelf. I won't get rid of it.
You like it that much.
If you like surfing, competitive surfing,
it's
That's
a good
cool.
game, very nice and light. I totally agree. I think there's actually a handful of good surf games, and no one has really noticed them. They've kind of missed
no
them.
one talks about them.
Okay, last one, Daryl.
My last one, and this is my oldest pick. I couldn't find my opened copy, but I have 2 copies of it. But this is from 1962. Obviously,
that's Chad
for
Elkins
anyone
old.
who's keeping track, I have baseball as a category still open.
Okay, yep.
And so
Yes,
this game,
I was wondering if that
I
was
had to
coming.
pick my favorite baseball game. This is Harry's Grand Slam.
Okay.
If you can track down this game, it was from Out of the Box.
Okay.
Way old school. It's actually not like the newest version's from 2004. That's the most recent.
Yeah.
And so whenever I see these things, but yeah, I buy them, but they're pretty rare now. It is just a simple card game. It actually, which I want to give a shout out for a lesser known game, Bat Flip. If anyone's played Bat Flip,
I've heard of Bat Flip.
Bat Flip was lovely. I'd love to meet the designer sometime. I got to play it with Dan King. Dan King's a big baseball fan, and so he introduced me to Bat Flip.
Nice.
They did like a insane huge Kickstarter for like some like legacy version, and no one knows the original game yet. But Bat Flip alone is just like a really lovely game. I also have to give shout outs for Baseball Highlight 2045, which is a great game as well. Yeah. I want to play 100%. Lords of Baseball. I've seen it in the shout out a few times. Haven't played it yet. But this is just quick, light, and gives you like a real baseball feel moment of just kind of like
that's cool.
Keeping it moving. It's a very fast, hard game. So
speaking of surfing, Tavara. I don't know that one. So.
I don't know that one.
Yeah. That's a good that's
my number one being it's got to be
of course.
Play it. I'm not a soccer fan in any capacity. I left that with my middle school days. I love this game. In fact, during the Super Bowl, after the halftime show, like people just ran in here, played a bunch of bingo, got back to the table, back to the living room. It gets played all the time. I played probably 4 times this weekend with family. So it's just
amazing.
Yeah, it's such a good game. So
perfect. Yep, got 3 boards. I would buy another 1 or 2 just because they get played when we have people around. It's easy, it's quick. It's first thing I take to holiday. Family.
This Thursday we have a tournament.
Grab the Beano
tournament in Columbus, Georgia. Scofflaw Brewing Company, 6 p.m. Beano tournament.
I hope
I probably won't play if there's enough players.
Oh, that's fair. So my last one is also soccer related. I have only played it in a demo, and it's been a few years. And that was 11.
Nice.
I want to play that
on my shelf.
Euro board game.
I want to play it.
Yeah, when I played through the demo that I got, I enjoyed it. It was very thematic, very manage the team, right? And in every aspect of managing a team, which I wonder, like, can that work in a football or basketball? Like, people love playing
Madden,
Dynasty stuff, right? Like, what would it look like to just run through that kind of simulation? So
Bob's got a copy.
It's a good Euro.
I want to play. So
yeah, I wonder if I don't know if he's played it. We haven't talked about it.
Can I mention a couple ridiculous games though?
Yeah.
Quick before you go.
Please.
One, while looking for sports games, I found this in my closet. Has anyone ever played this?
Slam and Sluggers.
No.
It is.
Oh, is it the
it's literally you flick it. Yeah, you flick the bat.
Okay, I've seen that. I've never played it.
I love that.
Yeah, so that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious. It wasn't going to make my list, but it's hilarious. And then this is
fun.
A ridiculous large. I mean, look at
yacht race.
Yacht race, and it's from Parker Brothers. It's stunning inside, but this is my little geek out shout out moment. I tracked it down, and it's actually from Sid Saxon's collection.
Oh,
No,
wow.
personal collection.
That's really
Yeah.
That's
cool.
So
amazing.
those are a couple of my
I love
geeky
that.
sports games that I have in my
That's
collection.
cool. That's really awesome.
You know, we didn't talk about, and locally for us, like my buddy Gene, who's
Yeah.
a big baseball guy, and Hank kind of mentioned it. They love the Stratomatic stuff. Like he plays so much and does a lot of that on his own, a lot of the simulations of the old
Yeah.
teams and
With
baseball. And
Statomatics and stuff.
I know there's a huge crowd of people that absolutely love that
Oh, yeah.
world.
Interesting.
It's a world I actually avoid because I know I would fall deep down that rabbit hole.
I don't know that I could do that. So, yeah.
Yeah, but it it's for the guys that love
Yeah,
keeping stats at the baseball games, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a perfect game.
I'll give you one more thing, just like as if everyone made it to the end of the episode,
Yeah.
a little sneak peek, and fingers crossed this works out. But I'm in
Okay.
I'm in talks with a little company about making a
Nice.
game that maybe would fit in this pouch
Really?
and be a
Oh, that's
theme. So
amazing.
fingers crossed that works out.
That would be amazing.
that would be so cool.
That would be really cool. Dropping all kinds of
with the big chew.
With no gum inside,
yeah.
but
no
ready
gum
in
inside, but in
promotion.
that same
That's okay.
pouch.
But there is a real world problem of edible things and
Yep,
products
yep.
and where they are in shelves. And
That's really
Yeah.
cool.
That's awesome, man. That would be really cool.
Very
fingers
cool.
crossed.
So, Daryl, what's a game that you've been playing recently? What you've been playing as we end the show?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I've been what have I been playing a lot of? Let me look at my pictures real quick. I sometimes take pictures of what I'm playing.
That's true game
right
there.
It's like what's been hitting
that's
the
how we
table. Well, I got the Lord of the Rings Trick Taker,
Okay. Yep.
so I've been
Solid.
playing through that. Other things that I've been enjoying. Oh man, put me on the spot here. I didn't think about this. Buy me a second here. Let me find some good photos.
Jazz has got a comment there for baseball highlight fans. Enjoy soccer and you check out Magic Number 11. Great simulation game with real strategic feel of soccer.
Oh, I got my answers. I've been playing a lot of Schadenfreude.
Okay.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed. I've just been playing a lot of card games lately.
Play the Spire.
So even like Flip 7 or
Yep.
I played Loot recently.
So
that was really cute.
I've heard good things about Loot.
I've been waiting to. I brought off the shelf that it's been a while, but Last Will. That was really fun to get back to the table. I hadn't played that in a while. Castle Combo.
Okay.
Oh, that's so
yeah,
good.
just I feel like we're in a really nice period of some good games. Cities, been playing Cities. It gets to the table really easy. Yeah, what else? Sky Team. I played recently.
Magical Athletes getting reprinted. What?
So Adele coming in. Good news. Magical Athlete will be reprinted by CMYK this year.
CMYK is killing it. So yeah,
they are.
Harmonies. Been playing a little bit of Harmonies.
Love
lately.
Harmonies.
Oh, Fromage. Been playing a bunch of Fromage.
Fromage. I've got Bob's copy of Fromage here at the house.
Yeah.
Gosh, so excited for the expansion. I've been following their page. They've been showing pictures of all the new stuff coming. Looks so good.
I've been playing Combo. This one's Happy Camper game.
The Combo's fun.
I first play was fine, and then each play has been better and better. I really enjoy Combo a lot. So
I love that game, but I can't play that version.
Oh, really?
I need the dinosaurs. I need the surface.
It's the Surfasaurus Rex or whatever it's called.
Surfasaurus.
I've never played that. So,
and time for our weekly
Shills of 25th Century Game. Stargazers. This is part of a 2-part Kickstarter that's coming in a couple weeks. This one, Stargazers, is a very puzzly game, and
is that the one where it like goes around in the orbits?
No. So this one, you're actually mapping out the galaxies on. You're an artist, and you're mapping out these galaxies. So you have a disc that's inside of that can be put inside of a cardboard tile. So it's tile placement, but then you have this disc that doesn't have to match in order to get bonuses and stuff.
Cool.
This one is a lot heavier than I thought it would be, and it's very good. Very
pretty.
Good. So
we got to crack ours open. Just got ours in the mail.
It's real good.
From Chad as well. 2 things. One, new Kickstarter coming from Pencil First that I'm playing, and that is vineyard, a
Oh,
wine
okay.
making.
I've seen some
This
coverage of that.
is Yeah, it's a new one from Ed and the team over there. It's their biggest.
Yes.
I mean, it's about the size of like
Skull
their
Hollow.
2-player
Yeah.
Skull Hollow,
Still
but
feels big.
it's
Mhm.
it's simultaneous. It's shared worker placement, which I was
Okay.
kind of trying to think if I had played something similar where all the workers on the board, we all control them, but where we move them and how they move interact. So there's a feel that feels cooperative, but it's definitely not a cooperative
Interesting.
game.
Okay.
And probably will be my most played game of the last year, this year, even maybe beating Flip 7 is
Overparked, so
Nice.
good.
but teaching this to everybody. This game is so flipping
Yeah,
good.
it's so good.
I cannot wait to see what American publisher finally brings it to the masses because it will be super
Yeah.
popular.
Is that one by
And one of my favorite
Chow?
polyominoes.
No.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
That's
board
my
game.
brother from another mother. Do you know
Yeah.
me and Daryl
Gosh.
Chow were born on the exact same day?
Oh, really?
Exact same day,
So
same year, different areas in the world.
Okay.
So I got him to. So I got the autograph on here,
Okay.
right? So he was at PAX, and Jazz took me over. He said, "You gotta pick this up." I was like, it's not cheap." I was like, "Is this gonna be available in the U.S.?" And he just dead stares at me and goes, "This is the only place you're gonna be able to buy it. Is right here
There we
today
go.
at PAX." I was like,
That's
"Oh,
it.
okay. Can if I buy it, will you autograph it?" And same dead look. He goes, "That's why I came to the U.S. to autograph your board game." So of course. And he starts laughing. He goes, "Of course I'll autograph it.
That's
Come over here. Come over
hilarious.
here. Let me meet
Amazing.
you." And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So like, stressing
That's
this guy
so
out.
funny.
What's going on? But
Amazing.
yeah, he was great. It was great talking
Yeah.
to him. We've been playing so much of his stuff.
It's really
recently,
good.
like
He's on
stuff I didn't
fire.
know was in.
Yeah.
Oh, that Ice Cube game that Joe Chambers showed us.
Yeah,
That was a
yeah.
blast. And that's getting
Cube
picked up
Melt.
by
Cube Melt is
Kids
coming
Table.
from Kids Table Board Gaming.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they just
Yeah,
announced a big
just great
partnership.
stuff.
Yep.
I love it.
This is awesome. Daryl, where can people find you on the internet?
Usually, if you search my name in some social media thing, I'll pop up. I'm probably
Sounds
taking a
accurate.
picture, a selfie, or eating
Yeah.
good food, or playing some board games.
There we go.
All the above.
You can find us over at oneboardfamily.com. You can find us at One Board Family, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, YouTube, all of the places. So
ICQ still.
a Tumblr. So
yeah, as I pack up my stuff, you can find us at Gaming with Sidekicks, this awesome wood piece that I've got that I've got to figure out how to move safely. You can find us on all the socials, especially over on TikTok while it's still around, and all the other social media pages. You can find us at Gaming.
That's right. Very cool.
Thanks for having me, guys. This was
it was awesome hanging out with you tonight. Thank you so much. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. So.
And thanks to chat, which was pretty active.
Thanks,
tonight,
chat, for chiming in and being the fourth guest on the show. So,
all right. Have a good night, y'all.
You guys have a good one.